metrology is evolving. Nanotechnology, smart grids, and medical advances like detecting cancer cells with unprecedented precision is where we are. Digital metrology is here, powering smart cities, automating industries, and ensuring safety and efficiency in our daily lives. Medical calibration is vital to the country. It's the first place you step into while unwell. The triage, the equipment that measures blood pressure, temperature, and weight. These are crucial in delivering accurate measurements to ensure patients are diagnosed correctly and receive the appropriate medication. Yet, measurement is for all people in all times. From the gorogoro in our markets to precision medical devices, it is vital that we standardize, building trust and ensuring value for all. As we celebrate World Metrology Day 2025, let's remember, measurement empowers trade, drives innovation, and creates trust. Kenya Bureau of Standards. Join us in celebrating World Metrology Day 2025. Measurement for all times, for all people.
You would understand why measurements back in the day were kept in temples. It's so sacred. It determines how we live. So I'd like to, at this point, recognize guests of the Kenya Bureau of Standards, the Somalia Bureau of Standards, who are visiting here for a week. Wherever you are, please kindly stand so that you may be. Thank you very much. Welcome to Kenya. Asante sana. Without further ado, allow me to welcome the African Organization for Standardization, ARSO, Secretary General, Dr. Himojin Sengimana. Karibu sana. A round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a celebration of 150 years of metrology. Karibu sana.
Good morning, Chief Guests. Dr. Juma Mukwana, Chairman of the National Standard Council, Dr. Chris, members of National Standard Council, CEO, Managing Director Esther, all guests, participants, media. If I look at today's celebration and I look at the speeches, because it's all on metrology, we might repeat what others have said. Bring something that I see at the continental level that chief guests will miss. If you look at the 8 principles of quality infrastructure, being having a quality policy, having standards, metrology, accreditation, conformity assessment, market surveillance, technical regulation, and promotion of the quality. The metrology is part of a standalone, like science metrology or industrial metrology. But when you look at the legal on market surveillance, it comes in. In our laboratories, how much on your budget we pay for chemicals, how much that Kenya today we can fix ourselves, not in 150 years to come, that we will be having production of chemicals we are using in laboratories. That we will be advancing certified reference materials locally. This is one challenge. Check our budget on what we deal with. At least you have Somali Bureau of Standard and Kenya Bureau of Standard in this room. That is a challenge that when we celebrate next year, or we celebrate also even the World Standard Day, let's talk about the data. Have we achieved something in that area? The second one is, do we look at the supply chain, the whole supply chain? If you look at this instrument, expensive instrument we have in our laboratories, gas chromatography, ICP, how many spare parts do we purchase from Africa? How many do we produce? Even columns, even screws, are we producing them? I want us to think about that, because that's the way we don't just embrace something without looking at the whole supply chain, because these instruments are very expensive, but we continue also depending on the maintenance. If some of the countries will even call experts from outside to come and maintain an equipment. We should think about this when we look at it. Chief guests, MD, the other part that is very sad is on test methods. Test methods. Those methods we put in standards, those methods we are using in our laboratories, those methods that we are using measuring are developed somewhere. And I give you one example, a recent example, on aflatoxin M1 in milk that caused loss of milk in many countries because the value which was set in the standard is not really the value that can be achieved when you look at in our milk production. And when you look at that value, actually, it's not scientifically proven. And also has now a standard on M1, aflatoxin, that can now help our milk industry to trade. But the issue was on test methods. Look at the products that we have at continental level, that we have in Kenya. Which method are we using? It's happened that I am a chemist. I developed some methods. I know that the matrix are different. We should not just pick methods. We should be in these beautiful laboratories that we sit in, have also a process. Can we look at the product, African product, with other challenging matrix and develop the real methods for analysis? We might be using, because this method for rice or maize is this other product looks like maize. Let's use the method that was used for maize. It shouldn't be that way. We should be our scientific sitting here, researchers developing methods at least for African products. And we agree that if I am finding this chemical in the product, it's the correct value. It's not because I am using another method developed somewhere else. Those are the three key issues. If we address them, we will create jobs in this quality infrastructure industry, and we will also respond to what we have been discussing. If I am measuring a product, if they are harmful products, I know they are correct. I am not measuring because someone else has given me a method. I am not buying an equipment that I will even import experts, import spare parts for our needs. Let's challenge ourselves. Next year when we sit here, we can have to report that we moved from one point to another. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. At this point, I'd like to welcome our Managing Director, Madam Estangari, who will then welcome the Chairman of the NSE and who will then welcome our Chief Guest, Dr. Juma Mukhwana. Karibu sana, MD. A round of applause. I've told you it's a celebration.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mercy. We continue to celebrate the World Metrology Day, and our next speaker is the Chairman of the National Standards Council, Dr. Chris Wamarwa. Dr. Chris Wamarwa, you may have known him in a different life. He has been a member of parliament for Kiminini, and he has also been in academia. And today he's our chairman. We are very glad to have him this morning to speak to us. Karibu sana, Chairman. Please address your people.
Thank you very much, Madam MD. The chief guests, Dr. Eusebius Juma Mukhwana, CBS, Principal Secretary, State Department of Industry, members of the Standards Council, Madam Estangari, Managing Director, KEBS, Director, Weights and Measures, Secretary General and CEO, Kenya National Commission for UNESCO, Regional Director, UNESCO, industry experts, management and staff of Kenya Bureau of Standards, esteemed metrology stakeholders in industry and in academia, development partners, members of the fourth estates, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed my distinct pleasure to join you in commemorating World Metrology Day 2025. My first as the chairman of the National Standard Council. I'm particularly honored to be accompanied today by the members of the National Standard Council. And at this juncture, I kindly request them to rise and introduce themselves by name. Kindly, honorable directors.
Good morning. My name is Stephen Yego, a member of the National Standard Council. And in the council, I chair Technical Trade and Permits Committee, that is TTPAC, and also sit in Audit Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Yego.
God is good all the time. I'm Director Patricio Kune, a member of the National Standards Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Patricia.
Good morning. Happy World Metrology Day. Thank you. My name is Momani Nyabonyi. In the National Standards Council, I chair the Audit and Risk Committee, and I'm also a member of the Technical Trade and Permits Approval Committee, which the Metrology Department reports to us. So this is our day. I'm very happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Momanyi.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Francis Karu. I'm also a member of National Standard Council. I sit in all those meetings you are hearing this guy saying. And happy Metrology Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Francis. Honorable participants, I would like to quote, there are two professors from Harvard Business School, Professor Kaplan Norton. These are the originators of the balanced scorecard, and this is what they had to say, that if you can't measure it, you can't manage it, and you cannot improve it. This year's theme, Measurements for All Times, for All People, is a powerful reminder that measurements underpin the systems we trust every day. Systems that support safety, innovation, fairness, and inclusive development. Before I ventured into public service, I trained as a biochemist at the undergraduate level, and I understand firsthand the indispensable role of accurate measurement in scientific inquiry and practical application. Measurements are the unseen foundation of progress, essential in marketplace, hospitals, and manufacturing flows alike. They assure fairness, guarantee safety, and drive economic growth. Consider the health sector. Here, accuracy can be a matter of life and death. A misread thermometer can lead to a misdiagnosis, and incorrect dosage can endanger lives. Every tool from blood pressure monitors to diagnostic equipment relies on properly calibrated, traceable measurements. In an era of global pandemics and emerging health threats, metrology is not just supportive infrastructure, it is indeed central to the resilience and effectiveness of healthcare systems. In manufacturing, precision drives quality, whether producing cars, aircraft parts, electronics, or textile. Every item depends on standardized, repeatable processes grounded in accurate measurements. Metrology enables global interoperability, fuels innovation, and anchors our industrial competitiveness. In the food sector, measurements protect public health and enable fair trade. Ingredients must be measured for nutritional value, safety, and consistency. Temperatures must be regulated during processing and storage. Without proper measurement systems, we risk unsafe consumption, avoidable losses, and the collapse of consumer confidence. When a Kenyan consumer purchases 1 kilogram packet of flour, they expect and deserve that it contains precisely that. When we export goods, the global market must trust in our standards. That trust is built through a reliable metrological infrastructure and robust standards enforcement. In the pharmaceutical industry, measurement precision is very critical. From the formulation of medicines to potency testing, to accurate labeling, regulatory compliance ensures that what's in the label is exactly what is in the bottle. In this field, measurement quite literally saves lives. Ladies and gentlemen, yet amid this progress, we must ask, Are accurate measurements truly accessible to all? In many rural and underserved regions, access to reliable meteorological services, calibrated instruments, and trained personnel remains limited. This disparity affects everything, from healthcare and agriculture to education and commerce. Thus, the call for measurements for all people must also be a call for action. For investment, capacity building, and inclusive policy, metrology must not be a privilege for a few, but a tool for collective prosperity. In this regard, I challenge KEBS to lead boldly through modernization, research, innovation, and a forward-thinking approach to the future of measurement. World Metrology Day presents an opportunity for KEBS to reaffirm its commitment to precision, transparency, and sustainable growth. These goals align closely with our strategic plan and the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Through market surveillance and factory inspections and rigorous testing, KEBS works to ensure that products meet quality and safety standards. This is how we protect consumers and promote fair trade. As the chairman of the National Standard Council, I take immense pride in the role of metrology at KEBS in safeguarding the health and well-being of our citizens. From ensuring the accuracy of pharmaceutical dosages to certifying gas cylinder pressure to verifying nutritional labels. Our metrology infrastructure supports safe, equitable, and reliable systems. By aligning with international standards and routinely inspecting measurement equipment nationwide, KEBS not only enhances public trust, but also facilitates regional and global market access for the Kenyan products. As I conclude, let me emphasize that research and innovation are vital for keeping metrology relevant and responsive to new challenges. KEBS is committed to cultivating a culture of innovation and supporting research that anticipates tomorrow's needs. On this World Metrology Day, let us reaffirm our shared mission to build a metrology ecosystem that serves all people, all times. KEBS is unwavering in its pledge to uphold this mission. Together, let us build a Kenya where every measurement counts and every standard inspires trust. I invite all stakeholders, government, industry, academia, and the public to partner with KEBS in this journey. Let us measure with purpose, innovate with courage, and shape a future where excellence is standard. I wish you all a happy Metrology Day. It is now my singular pleasure to invite the Principal Secretary for Industry, Dr. Eusebius Juma Mokwana, CBS, to deliver his remarks. Asanteni sana, karibu sana, Bwana PS. Makofi kwake. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you. Thank you. Let's be seated. Good morning, everyone. Ukiona mtu ananiita Eusebius, that one knows me from home. Because many people don't venture in that direction. My mother was a little ambitious in that naming process. So you can imagine when you are called Eusebius. So most people, when they see the name, they avoid it. So when I was very young, I learned to call myself Juma Mokwana. So thank you, Chair. the chair of the Standards Council, your team, the board of directors, led by Stephen Diego, Patricia Ogune, my young sister, Grace Mumanyi, Francis Karu, and the team of management led by Esther Ngare, my young brother Zakaria here, Adan, and others who are not here, Miriam, and our supporters, the team from Somalia, my brother Imogene Sengimana from ASO, whom we have been struggling very much to support, UNESCO, Weights and Measures, and everyone, and the chair, Dr. Chris Wamalwa. Good morning. I think that we are here not just to celebrate the World Metrology Day, but I think to ask ourselves also a number of questions in terms of, as Chris has said, if you can't measure it, you can't change it. So we are on this journey, and we have been on this journey for some time. But there are those who say, if you don't know where you are going, then you will not get lost. And so, on this journey of metrology, of standards, where is our destination? Where are we going? So we have seen people now talking about America first. Then some people have said, then Kenya first. In fact, others have said Kenya faster. Because the world is moving very, very quickly. And as Kenyans, we are asking ourselves, what do we make of all these institutions and these processes, some of them very international processes? How do they benefit us? Those of you who have been keen know that in the last 2 weeks or so, Kenya became the largest economy, the 6th largest economy in Africa. Previously, we were number 8. So through World Bank, IMF ranking, in the last 2 weeks, so we were able to beat Ethiopia, and you were able to beat Angola, and now you are number 6. So give yourself a clap. Because quite often when you meet Kenyans, if they are not grumbling, they are complaining. You know, you have to stop to celebrate. You must celebrate the small things that you achieve. And because when you celebrate, it gives you the energy to try and do even bigger things. So for me, we really must applaud ourselves that if you are the 6th out of 55 countries, then you are on the right route. But that doesn't mean that you become complacent. You must really work even harder. And so, for me, this begs the question, so metrology for who? And metrology for what? And we are all sitting here celebrating 150 years. What have we achieved? And what is it that we need to do? So 150 years, if we look back, I think it's good to reflect. If we go back 150 years, I can be sure of one thing, that none of us was putting on a suit in 1875 here in Kenya. We can also know that none of us had gone to school. There were no schools, there were no hospitals. Many of us would not write our names. What we call Kenya today did not actually exist until 1885. So that is like 10 years after that. It's when we knew what we had here was everybody with his sheep and his goats and his spear. So the Kikuyu knew that there was a Meru somewhere. More probably there was somebody else The Luo in Nyanza knew there was a leg, there was a Luya somewhere, there was a Kalenjin, but we did not have what we call Kenya. And so it may look like we have achieved very little, but if you put it in that context, the people who used to come here used to come by ship, and you arrive in Mombasa, and they walked for 3 months to Nairobi. And they would walk for another 3 months to Mumias, where the king Nabongo of the Luya, they would stop there and then proceed to Uganda, where they would meet the Kabaka. That is the world you had. And within those 150 years, a lot of things have happened. Something else had happened a lot earlier, which was the first industrial revolution. So your first industrial revolution took place in the UK in 1740. That is even earlier, that is 300 years since then. That was the first industrial revolution. And that industrial revolution from UK then moved to the rest of Europe. And when the Europeans were exploring the Americas, again, they went with that industrialization. So the Americas became, Canada, US became very industrialized. When the cost of manufacturing became very high in the UK, in Europe, in America, they thought, let's look for cheap labor. That's how China came in. So let's relocate our manufacturing to China, to India, and pretty much the rest of Asia, Vietnam, Sri Lanka, Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, have all become then industrialized. But what I always say is that this industrialization, as much as, because metrology must be for something, metrology must help us to manufacture more, metrology must help us to export more, and metrology must help us to build prosperity for our country. And for us to build that prosperity, we must manufacture more. As I always say in my speeches, while industrialization has visited every other continent, it has forgotten to visit the continent of Africa. And the reason why I'm saying like this is when you put the African continent together, 55 countries of us, 1.4 billion people, we account for 17% of the world population. And yet our share of manufacturing is only 3%. So you are 17%, your global share of manufacturing is 3%. Let's look at Europe. Europe is only 9% of the world, manufacturing 24%. So clearly somebody is eating your cake. And so as we talk about standards, as we talk about metrology, I think we need to step up and ask ourselves, metrology for who? And metrology for what? And so part of the reason that I'm talking like this is, so what is KEPS? What are the rest of us, UNESCO weights and measures? What are we doing to promote manufacturing in Kenya as part of growing African manufacturing? Because for me, that becomes an important agenda for all of us. And that is why we have created unemployment among the young people. The only place where you can find 5,000 people employed is an industry. And so I am here to impress on you that it cannot be metrology for the sake of metrology. And Hemogin has just mentioned here, I have had opportunity to study out of this country. If you look at the amount of money that you spend buying equipment, medical equipment, scientific equipment, laboratory equipment, the chemicals that you have to use, the maintenance, that alone tells you, and if you really cannot invent some of these chemicals, if you cannot look into how do you produce an HPLC for yourself, then we will remain where we are. We will become consumers. In this country, we are already importing 80% of all our produce. We are only producing 20% of what we need. And so we must use these standards, we must use this metrology to really benefit ourselves. And in this journey, one of the areas that I really want to ask is, if you want Africa to industrialize, because we are talking about an industry, an Africa that is only producing 3% of the manufactured products. The question I often ask is, who is going to industrialize Africa? So we sit here, we read many nice speeches, we speak a lot of English, but we forget what is our role in manufacturing. The reason why I'm asking like that is because Europe was industrialized by the Europeans, and China was industrialized by the Chinese, and the Japanese have done their part. It is only here in Africa that we sit and we imagine that somebody else will drop from Mars, another planet called Mercury, and come and industrialize for us. So I see us on social media very active, talking about the cost of living. How do you discuss the cost of living if all the money that you're earning from KEPS, from weights and measures, from the Ministry of Investment, you are using it to import shoes, to import a suit, to import clothes, to import a pen, to import toothpick, to import a rubber. And for the ladies, sometimes they also import the hair, isn't it? So I am here to assure you that if your work is to use your money to import, we can talk about the cost of living, and we can talk about what the government can do, and we can talk about how bad the government is. That's why the cost of living is very high. If your work is to import, even if we elected the angel himself, yeah, there is nowhere we are going. And so my message here is we must be able to produce. We must produce, not just at the farm level, we must produce at the industrial scale. We must be able to employ our young people. We must produce products that we need for this economy. We must produce products that are required in the region, in the East African region, in the African region, and even globally. So we've done very well on the digital space. But the question that we have not answered is, if all your work is to get some money and export it, and then bring back goods, that discussion of the cost of living is not complete. We are actually lying to ourselves. And remember, the work of government is not to industrialize. The work of government is to be a good referee, is to give you the policies, the good laws, the regulations for you to invest in manufacturing. So the challenge, my dear Kenyans, is to ask you, in whichever small space you are, if you have been working at KEPS for 10 years, the question you need to answer is, how many industries have you helped create? Or maybe to put it in another way, how many industries have you helped to kill? Because quite many of us, once you are in this space, you think that it is your time to demonstrate your authority. So it's your time to kill the small ideas. So we spend a lot of time trying to make other people recognize who we are, how powerful we are. So if you are sitting in a space, remember your most urgent work as a Kenyan, working in any space, is to create more industries, is to create more manufacturing. And when I talk about more industries, I am not talking about multi-billion industries. Small things. I have watched, I have seen people extracting avocado oil from small little machineries. I have seen people making nails, barbed wire with small things. So the mindset of the African must change. You must change from consuming to production. That is why all of us sit here. We speak quite some good English, but in our house, we have young people, 18, 20, 25, watching TV every day because we have not created opportunities for them. So the challenge that we have is how do you use your public space? How do you use the opportunity that God has given you? How do you use the opportunity that this government has given you to create more prosperity for your nation? And not to stifle, not to kill, not to antagonize, not to undermine, but to promote the little that there is that we can grow in the form of industries. And so I find it very interesting. I talk to my directors of industries in the ministry, and I ask them, if you have been working in industry for 30 years, and you rose from an industrial development officer in 1990 to become a director of industry 30 years later, and you are retiring, and you cannot even make nails, hapo siko shida. Siko shida hapo. I have met colleagues who have been bank managers. Somebody rose, he became a manager of Equity Bank, Kiambu branch. Family Bank, Embu branch, for 15 years. And this person has retired, and he cannot run a micro industry, a micro business. He cannot open a kiosk and sell potatoes. Hapo situko na kazi. And that is why you have PhDs in this country in business, doctor of business management, looking for a job. Now, this is a doctor of business management. This is a master of business management, a PhD in entrepreneurship, looking for a job. Hey, hapa iko kazi. This mama mboga selling in Kikomba, sometimes it's actually a better business than some of us who have gone to school. If you just go around Kikomba, this mama selling mitumba, you have better entrepreneurs. So part of the challenge is that the people who are letting down this country are the people that are dressed like you and me. And so the challenge that we have, fellow Kenyans, is to say that our role in this space is to be facilitative. Our role is to make a difference. Our role is to create more entrepreneurs, to create more small manufacturers, to create better prosperity, to create a better country so that we can create employment for ourselves and for the generations to come. And that way, we can then celebrate the World Metrology Day. We can celebrate the standards that we have created, because the purpose of these standards is for them to create opportunities for this country to climb to the next level. I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, our chief guest, for those insights. And in support of your statement about supporting local manufacturers, this next phase has inculcated that. If your watches are well calibrated, you'll note that it's about tea break. And we have a cake to celebrate 150 years of metrology. So I'd like to welcome the Kenya Bureau of Standards Choir. And since it's a celebration, ladies and gentlemen, we have a cake that has been done by a local manufacturer. We have a brief session for a special gift for our chief guest and some of our distinguished members here. Again, made and crafted by local manufacturers, SMEs. So KEBS Choir, karibuni sana. Director has instructed that you can come on stage as well. Feel free to stand and dance with them. Karibuni sana.
Thank you. In the mood of celebration, we are saying Sore, we the Luya celebrate with the Sore, now that we have got two bridegrooms here, doctor and doctor. Sore mwana wa Sore, Sore mudeni wa Sore.
So I need guidance on whether that was well calibrated. Head of Metrology, was it well calibrated? It's there. Good job. Please do not leave the stage. We will need you as we cut the cake. At this point, I'd like to request for permission to invite our chief guest, our MD, also Secretary and Chairman, to please come and cut the cake. And because it's World Metrology Day, Mr. Nyakiamo, you've been asked as well to flank. I'm told measurements guide our daily activities. I'm sure the measurements are just perfect because that cake looks sweet. And we should go so quiet. You will sing for us one song as we cut the cake and celebrate this momentous occasion. So there's a countdown for the cake. Yes, we need to light it. Thank you very much, choir. As we clear the cake table, we'd like the next session, our chief guest, we have a special gift for you as we commemorate 150 years of the Metre Convention. So I'd like to call on stage our chief guest of the day, Dr. Juma Mukwana, CBS. And I'd like to call on stage the chair of the NSC to give this gift of the day. So this particular gift to our chief guest was carved specifically for this day. Those proper measurements done from the heart of the Kenya Bureau of Standards, chairman to our chief guest. Calibrated. Next, PS, if you could just stand there. Chairman, please do not leave. We have a gift for you as well. Yes, chair, gift for the chair. Thank you for supporting the day. And PS, you'll do the honor of giving our chair this gift for the day. Round of applause. Next on stage, I'd like to call, PS, please, will need your help in this, Dr. James Njogu. Dr. James Njogu, thank you for your time, and we'd like to give you a gift as well. Thank you. Next, PS, would like to welcome ARSO's Secretary General, Dr. Sengimana, to receive this gift as well. If we could have some music in the background, it's the ceremonial. Yes, a gift for Secretary, please. And then I'd like to welcome Dr. Christian to receive a gift as well from UNESCO, next on stage. Thank you very much. Dr. Christian, karibu sana on stage. We have a gift for you as well. Thank you very much. Yes, you may take your seat. Thank you. I'd like to call on stage Director Yego to give the next set of two people gifts as we celebrate 150 years of the Metre Convention. We'd like to welcome on stage Dr. John from Weights and Measures. Is he still with us? Yes. For Dr. John, Weights and Measures. Yeah. We have a panelist from Kengen in our next session, Irene Kishogi. If you could please come on stage, we have something for you as well. Director, please be standing for this. Karibu Irene. I know we'll still hear from you after the break. Irene Kishogi. Thank you very much. Thank you, Director. You may take your seat. I'd like to call Director Grace Nyaboni. Please come on stage. We have to give to Caroline Michelle of Wrigley. Caroline, if you're here, please come on stage. We have something for you. Thank you. Thank you, Director. Please be on stage for Anthony Chwani from Research Referral Hospital. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Director. You may take your seat. Asante, at this point, I'd like to call Director Okune to give the next set of gifts to our two esteemed partners. A representative from Nakosti. The Acting Director General at Nakosti, please come on stage. We have something for you.
Yes, again with a new song of praise. God is good. Oh, congratulations. 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 Say what the Lord has done for you. Congratulations. God is good. Them say that I can never be all that I see. I've seen that God is greater than that. Come back with the Lord. Nobody in many years, in many ways, I have seen His faithfulness ever and ever. Yeah. Congratulations, I have seen the glory of God. Congratulations, He has done it for me. And I have come back to start to sing, my God is good. Yes, again with a new song of praise, my God is good. Congratulations.
Time for jubilation. Congratulations. No more tribulation. You say you cannot refuse. I told you, I say you can never lose. Give me your attention. Very, very soon you will share your testimony. You will tell your testimony. Bigger than money, we say sweeter than money.
Congratulations, you're in the glory of God. Congratulations, He has done it for you. And you'll come back with a new song to sing your God is good. Oh. You will come again with a new song, praise God is good. Oh. Congratulations.
Say little one, never go tell little one. Say that man, keep on control. I will keep my inside the day. Together in a celebration.
I have a message for you. God is sending you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to this year's World Metrology Day. Our theme this year is measurements for all times, for all people. Metrology governs everything we do from morning to evening. Metrology in Kenya Bureau of Standards, our National Metrology Institute, is housed at the KEBS headquarters. This year's metrology celebrations is very unique in that we are marking the 150 years of metrology and the Metre Convention. In 1875, UNESCO and the world recognized the meter and metrology as a day to be celebrated. In Kenya, we are celebrating the Metre Convention, and with that, with our 13 laboratories, metrology is very important to your day-to-day lives. The health industry, metrology in trade, metrology in safety issues, and metrology in environment. We invite you on this auspicious occasion to join us and celebrate World Metrology Day.
My name is Calvin Bore, working with the Dimensional Measurements Laboratory of Kenya Bureau of Standards. I'd like to welcome you all to World Metrology Day of 2025. The theme for this year's event is Measurements for All Time, for All People. Dimensional metrology is the study of the geometric features of an object. When you talk about geometric features, we're talking about the size, the distance, the orientation or angle, the form or shape, or the surface texture of an object. This year's theme is measurements for all time, for all people. When you talk about all times, we are talking about the impact of measurements in our past, present, and future. You are welcome to join us for World Metrology Day on 20th of May 2025. If you won't be available physically, you are welcome to catch us live on our social media platforms.
and in the food industry as well. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome on stage Emmanuel Njoroge. He is an industry expert representing medical sector from the Kenyatta University Teaching, Research and Referral Hospital. He tells me the short form is KUTRA. So you can say KUTRA instead of the whole acronym. Thank you very much, Emmanuel Njoroge. Next industry expert is on the energy sector, a representative from KenGen, Madam Irene Gishomba. I hope, Gishohi, apologies for that. Irene Gishohi, karibu sana. Thank you for those round of applauses. Naona chai imefanya kazi. Thank you. Next, we'd like to welcome somebody from the food sector, a representative, Caroline Misheni from Mars Wrigley. Caroline Misheni, karibu sana. And I hope as they come on stage, you're getting your questions ready because we want to have a very impactful discussion. From the Jua Kali Association, we have an apology from the gentleman, so that's fine. I'd like to welcome a representative from the Legal, Metrology and Trade. That's Mr. Joseph Jaramba from Weights and Measures. Mr. Joseph Jaramba, karibu sana. I'd like to welcome our very own Dr. Caleb Luvoga and Ms. Grace Ateka. They're industry experts in scientific and industrial metrology. So KEBS is well represented here. Grace, karibu sana. I have microphones here that I hope will have help in moving it around, so that in case somebody has a question, so to kick-start our panel discussion, I'd like us to start with medical calibration. That affects all of us. One time I was watching a cartoon with some at home, and the cartoon was saying that they were trying to encourage a child who was ill, that everyone at one point will fall ill. And what you want, either as a mother, as a parent, or even for yourself, is that when you get to hospital, if it's at Kenyatta University, KUTRA, then you'll be able to get accurate measurements. Accurate measurements, then accurate dosage. So my first question we can start with you, Emmanuel, is how does accurate calibration impact patient safety and treatment outcomes in medical settings?
Not overlooking the other industries, but I think calibration in the healthcare facility is one of the most critical things. I heard our moderator say, you don't want to go to a triage and be told you're 81 kg, tomorrow 83, the other day 80. So that's why we take calibration of medical devices very seriously. From the onset at the triage, where we do calibration of things such as temperature, things like pressure. We all read that statement by the nurse pressure yako leo iko juu kidogo. You don't want to be told that if it's actually not true. So at Kutra, we've taken that initiative to make sure all our medical devices are calibrated, both internally and through KEBS partnership. So this normally helps in the accuracy of diagnosis, because at the onset of treatment is diagnosis. So if the instruments that are used to diagnose you are not accurate, the entire treatment process will be flawed. So right at the triage, where our main equipment want to have the patient monitor, this will measure things such as the temperature, the SpO2, that is the oxygen level in the body, things like ECG, things like heart rate, and lastly, things like weight. So we've ensured that at the start of treatment, or at the start of point of care, that whatever your nurse or your doctor will tell you, if you are told your blood pressure is 120/80, it is actually 120/80. So this will aid in the rest of the treatment process. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I think it's vital information for every Kenyan, not just people who are here, but every Kenyan should know that medical equipment must be calibrated, because when you look at the bigger picture, a healthy society then translates to economic growth and not vice versa. Grace, you're in the medical calibration. Maybe you could provide for us examples of critical devices that require precise calibration.
Okay, Mercy, before I jump into medical calibration, because the theme today is measurements for all people at all times.
Yes.
I'd like to refresh you a little bit by asking you, did you know that KEBS also calibrates sound systems? We do have a lab called Acoustics and Vibration that does all that. So I wanted to also ask you, is the microphone you're using calibrated?
I'll ask the supplier.
So now let me jump into medical calibration. I'll say that all medical calibration is critical, but I want to emphasize on the one that I think is most critical, that really plays a major role in terms of treatment to consumers and patients. And I'd also like to begin by saying, we can never talk about patient safety. We can never talk about effective treatment. We can never talk about effective diagnosis without talking about calibration. So in terms of the most critical, I'd like to highlight the importance of calibrating our cancer treatment equipment. If you walk to any hospital today where they're doing cancer treatment, it is very important for us to check and know that the machine they're using is calibrated. The reason for this being is, remember, when you're talking about cancer treatment, you're using a lot of radiation to treat the cancer tumor. So if you're going to use more radiation than what is expected, it means you're actually causing more cancer to the patient than how the patient was initially. And if you're going to measure a low amount of radiation, it means that you're actually not treating the patient, but you're actually giving a chance for the cancer to reoccur. And we've had these cases where people are treated and you hear after 3 years the cancer came back, or maybe the treatment was not effective. So one of the reasons why we have such issues is if our equipment is not calibrated. Some other equipment that I think is very critical in terms of calibration is when you talk about equipment used for diagnosis. These are examples are X-rays, CT scanners. If you walk into an hospital, I don't know how many people of us have walked into an hospital and then you are told, this X-ray is not visible, we need to do another X-ray. First of all, the more X-rays you're doing, the more radiation you're getting, and the more prone to getting cancer you are being exposed to. And it also incurs you more cost. Every time you have to redo a test, you have to do an X-ray, you have to do a CT scan, you incur more costs. So I'll give those 2 examples for a start, but let us calibrate all medical equipment. It will reduce our cost. It will keep us safe. When you're told your weight is 50 kgs, you are sure it is 50. Yeah.
And I hope then this conversation sets the pace for globally to ensure that we are aligned measurements for all people, for all times, for all people. And I hear you when you mentioned about when you get your measurements in Kenya and you're traveling elsewhere, even if it's within the country, then our medical equipment must be calibrated, that it's trusted in Nairobi as much as it's trusted elsewhere. And a doctor can trust that as well. But I'm keen to know, Kenyatta University Teaching, that acronym still gets me. Kenyatta University Teaching and Referral Hospital, in terms of training and education, because that's a teaching hospital, what roles does training and education play in ensuring proper calibration practices? Please, and in the meantime, anyone who has questions will go to a Q&A as well.
So as a hospital, we've ensured 75% of our engineers are trained in various calibration parameters. That is, of course, through the assistance of KEBS. Towards the end of last year, we had 2 of our officers here every 2 weeks, where we learned calibration of temperature, calibration of mass, calibration of speed, among other parameters. And we are also passing down this information that we learn in KEBS to various university students, including Kenyatta University. Also, as a hospital, we're in the process of setting a calibration lab because we've noted KEBS can handle as much. If you go to all level 5s, all county hospitals, they all can't rely on KEBS. So we're in a collaboration with KEBS where they get to train people at KUTRA, then KUTRA will offer these services to the level 5s and the level 4 hospitals so that we even try and offset KEBS some of these tasks.
Thank you for that. And before I open the floor to anyone who has questions, so when an equipment is calibrated, the same way when a product passes the test, there's a standardization mark. I don't want to assume that those people who are watching or even here, is there a mark when you're in hospital to look out for and know that this equipment is calibrated? Grace.
Yes, Mercy. The same mark I was asking on your microphone that is missing. So basically, when you walk to any hospital and they have a weighing scale or they have a BP machine, they have an X-ray, they have a LINAC, it has to have a calibration mark. Yes.
So I know this touches on all of us. Does someone has a question? You know, Grace mentioned something very serious about if a machine is not calibrated. One time she mentioned about how X-rays need to be calibrated. When you go for root canal, they do very many X-rays. So you need to ask, and this is a place to ask. The floor is open. If you have any questions, just put your hand up and we'll have a mic for you. Yes, we have a question here.
Thank you very much, panelists. My question is about measurements. First of all, I want to say wonderful Metrology Day. I'm one of the metrologists. Maybe people who don't know me. I'm one of the pioneers in weight and measures. And I worked for almost 10 years. My question is, we have frequently experience in terms of tire pressures. At the petrol station, you find that most of the people normally just go and put their tire pressure without knowing whether it has been calibrated or not. And often we find that sometimes the accidents is caused by tire burst, which is a contributory factor in terms of the level of pressure. Unknowingly, you can put more pressure than you have expected. So how do you harmonize as legal metrologists? Because we have a section of metrology in KEBS and we have weight and measures department. How do you collaborate with one another to have a systematic uniformity of calibrating the pressures at the petrol stations so that we can protect the motorists or other consumers to have the trust, as we have said, because measurement is about trust, that their tire pressure is accurate and they can be able to have confidence in driving. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the answer to your question is seated right next to you, Engineer Bangi. I'll give you the opportunity to respond to that.
Thank you for that question. Metrology is divided into 3 fields. we have legal metrology, we have scientific metrology, and industrial metrology. In the morning, when the representative from weights and measures mentioned, they're handling the metrology which is regulated, the supports business. So for tire pressure, the Standards Act, which was amended by the Business Laws 2024, requires that all measuring instruments that touch on safety, environment, and health, they must be calibrated. Calibration is the mandate of Kenya Bureau of Standards. Weights and measures, that's legal metrology, which is a verification for measuring and weighing instruments that are used for trade. So calibration of the pressure gauges at petrol stations require to be calibrated regularly, and KEPS requires that now it's available to provide those services. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer. You have something to add, Engineer Libonga? Oh.
Yes, now, on the issue of the pressure gauges, the department is, of course, legal metrology is mainly involved in the type approval of the equipment, because we want to ensure that all the equipment that comes into the country has been approved for that particular purpose. And that is the only way we can be assured that if the equipment is approved for that particular purpose, it is able to maintain the accuracy for a period of time. We usually carry out verifications once a year. So we expect equipment which has been properly verified to be able to sustain accuracy over a period of 1 year. Currently, we are working on the regulations to ensure that those equipment are properly done, and we'll be moving forward to annual verification of those particular equipment. Thank you.
So we can still stick on that. Lubuga, you have the mic and you can speak about the energy sector calibration. So if we look at recent technological advancements, how have they improved the calibration of the energy sector and the equipment? So either you can speak on that, or we can open the floor to... Yes, it's working.
Before we move out of the tire pressure question, one of the things that we need to know is that there's a lot of information that is usually on the tire itself that people are not aware of, like the maximum pressure that can be put on a tire. Most of the time, people usually go and put pressure depending on the size of the vehicle, not on the information that is on the tire itself. So it is important that when you are putting pressure, when you're buying the tire, you need to know what kind of tire you're purchasing and what is the maximum pressure that needs to be put. The other thing about pressure is temperature. Temperature plays a critical factor when it comes to pressure. If you are driving to Lodwar, when you get to Kapenguria, you need to reduce the pressure in your tires. Because when you go to a hot place, the pressure increases and it can lead to a tire burst. If you're going to a cold place like Limuru, you need also to check the pressure. Because you'll find that when you go to a cold place, the tire seems as though it has lost pressure, but it is just because of temperature. Low temperatures can even affect things like when you look at the pressures or pneumatic systems. For example, if you get to a temperature that goes to, in the temperate countries, temperatures that go to around 30, when you're using the bonnet or even the trunk of the car, you see it slumps down. It's because temperature has affected the pressure of the gas in the system. So pressure is very important, and you need to know the environment within which you are operating. Thank you.
Engineer Luvoga, wait.
I'm not an engineer.
Oh, sorry.
Let me not
Doctor.
usurp the power. I'm not an engineer.
Dr. Luvoga, I need to calibrate my terms. I'm using it just so that we can understand. But anyway, that's on a light note. You speak like a proper engineer. Tell the audiences when you have your tire, because there are many writings on the tire. What exactly is it that you look at? And are the people in the pump stations educated enough to tell them, like when you're fueling and when you're going to put air in your tire, you're traveling to Turkana, do they know that when you go to Turkana, you can lower it? Because, I mean, utafika kwa pump and they'll tell you, weka 30, 35. It's what the MD was saying, you pima na macho, hii ni premium inaka 30, hii nyingine inaka 35. Educate us. Make it practical for us. What do you look out for on the tire? And how is this, education made to the people at the attendants at the pump?
Okay, when you look at the tire, there are usually many writings there. You'd see something like 225 R16 stroke 55. That is a lot of information that is given there. It talks about the size of the rim that needs to be used. It talks about the width of the tire. It talks about many other things. But at the part where it's supposed to be touching the rim, there's usually information, and they say like 44 kPa or something like that. That means that is the maximum pressure that can be used in that tire. So you are not supposed to put pressure beyond that. Yeah, so that is the most important information that you need to use. Of course, assuming that the device that is used to pressurize the tire is calibrated. Yes.
Thank you. You have, yeah.
Maybe to add on the same.
Yes.
On the same tire, there is information about the speed at which that tire should be driven at. There are that information is probably inscribed on that particular tire, that this tire can do up to 220, this one can only do up to 150. That information is there, so it's good to learn those particular issues.
They're not just decorations. We hear you loud and clear. Let's make this conversation now to the energy sector. And Irene, I'd like you to speak on the overview. How does then accurate calibration impact the efficiency and safety of energy production and distribution? I know there's been conversations around that. Nimelipia hii, sio the exact amount, token this. Could you tell us how then, even at Kengen, you're implementing that?
We have several instruments installed in the generation stations as well as in the transmission systems. When we talk in terms of safety, I'll start with like in the transmission systems. We normally have instrument transformers. They normally measure the currents that's in the power line and the voltage as well. When the current goes beyond a certain level, we have protection relays that will trip. So that's why we see normally sometimes when it rains, you'll see because of the wind swinging, power lines normally touch each other. And at that point you have a fault. The current will normally go very high and it may be not safe for the equipment as well as for the people. So we have protection relays that normally operate depending on what current they measure. So we need the measurements to be accurate for us to know when to open the breakers and stop flow of current. And also now for the generation system, we normally have the generators which operate at high pressures. So we normally have pressure gauges that we need the pressure that we're measuring to be the accurate one, because depending on what pressure it measures, we have control systems that will regulate it to bring it up or to lower it for safety purposes and protecting the equipment. Yes, we need the equipment to be measuring accurately for us to know how to control, for us to also, for the safety of the people, considering we're working with high currents, high voltages, high pressures, high temperatures. And for what you talked about, for the tokens, we normally have the energy meters that measures currents, voltages, and the power. Normally we calibrate the energy meters to confirm that whatever the meters are reading, the meters are connected to instrument transformers, The instrument transformers are the ones that read the currents and the voltages. So we want the instrument transformers to read the correct current and voltages so that at the energy meter will translate. If you're told this is 1 unit of power, which this is 1 kilowatt hour, it's correct, so that the customers also don't feel cheated out of the power. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So we have Jacqueline Omolo, who's with the Energy Lab at the Kenya Bureau of Standards. And we want to know, how do national metrology institutes contribute to the calibration of energy sector equipment? Jacqueline. And as you speak like a scientist, speak to us all.
Thank you. At Kenya Bureau of Standards, we are the National Metrology Institute, who are the custodian of the primary standards that are used in the energy sector. So as a National Metrology Institute, what we do is that we have a standard which are used to calibrate the working standards used by the KenGen, Kenya Power, all the power utility sectors. So we actually calibrate the standards to give them traceability so that they use these particular standards to help them calibrate their own standards. Besides, there are some particular individuals or the independent power producers who bring their equipment to, especially the meters, the prepaid meters, the meters that are commonly used in the energy sector, that are directly brought to the Kenya Bureau of Standards, and they are checked, the accuracy are checked by our primary standards before they're actually commissioned in the sectors where they're used. So actually what we do is we give traceability to all the energy sectors, including the transformers, the high voltage measurements, the relays, and the meters that are used in the industries.
Thank you, thank you. So traceability in this case means that to the standard, so that when it's traceable to the international standard. Yes, I hope I've also not spoken like a scientist. You see, yes. Traceability, yeah.
Traceability here means our standards are the high-level standards that are used in this country. These standards are traceable to the International Systems of Units, that is SI. So we actually have our equipment calibrated to the SI units. Then the equipments that we have are now used to calibrate the standards that are used in the industry. So that is what traceability means.
Thank you so much. I'll open the floor to any questions, but on our screens, yes. So please, as we take the mic there, and at the far corner, we have a QR code that needs to be projected. So here you can scan and give feedback, including any questions that you have. So when that QR code is projected, you can scan it and interact with us. Please, your names and your question.
Thank you so much, and I'm happy to be here. My name is Njogu. I heard everyone talking about our sector. I represent the petroleum sector. I'm the CEO of Petroleum Outlets Association of Kenya, which represents local investors in the petroleum industry, so all the outlets and all the people in the supply chain. I'm also the vice chair of the KEPSA Energy Board. And about 2 weeks ago, we had both KEBs and weights and measures at our Afri-Fueling Expo, which we had at Sarit Center. And today I came to return the favor. But more than returning the favor, I mean, some of the emerging issues that we discovered that time, and I think Director Wamona was the one who was at the panel, was to inform us that we do not have authorized measurement equipment in the form of ATGs, automatic gauge systems. Now, if you look at our industry, we've been moving fast towards automation. Remember, the petroleum industry is all about moving refined product from the port of Mombasa across the various supply chains until it ends up in your pump, in your vehicles rather. Now, as we are doing that, we experience so much losses. And I could tell you that we probably lose about 30 to 40 million liters a year in the supply chain. And we price that since we are a regulated space, we price that in the price breakdown, and then the consumer pays for it. But we wondered how much of that error is coming out of wrong measurement. And having been in this industry, my first job was as a pump attendant. I cannot remember a time we sat down with the metrology departments to discuss about the impact of our measurements in how we conduct our business. So we are paying a very heavy price for not having that conversation. And I think that's why we now want to be in your spaces so that we can understand what is this thing that we've missed that we probably need to incorporate so that we have proper measurements across the whole supply chain. That is one. Number two, we are having alternative fuels. So now we have autogas. This is LPG. I don't know whether we have capacity to calibrate the LPG pumps that are now just coming into the market. Apart from that happening in the motor vehicle space, remember we are talking about bioethanol and biodiesel. So the alternative side is a key component. But when you look at also LPG, we've now moved to pay as you go, where we have, you get a whole mtungi, then it dispenses to you as you spend. How are we looking at making sure that customers are receiving the value? The affordable houses on the other side, they are doing reticulation of LPG. So now gas is going to be piped and it has to be measured so that it can be paid for. So I see a lot of growth in the energy sector, particularly in these areas that I've mentioned. And I'm wondering whether you're keeping up. Thank you.
Yeah. So as we take the microphone to the farthest corner, I'd like Bernard Miheso to prepare himself to respond to that and comment on that as well. Rayons, we can take the mic so that we can consolidate the questions. Your name, please, and then proceed.
Thank you. My name is Emma Mongera from Kenyatta University Hospital. I have a question from the point of view of the consumer. When I go to the hospital and I get my weight taken and my temperature taken, how will I know that this equipment is calibrated? And what is KEBS doing to sensitize the public on the issues of measurements and calibrations from the consumer side? Thank you.
Thank you. So let's have Bernard respond first of all and give his comments, and then we will respond to the medical calibration. I'd like to also point out that if you still have your programs, the QR code is there as well, so you can still scan and use it. Bernard.
Thank you very much. My name is Bernard Miheso. I am in charge of volume and flow. As you have heard, we will transfer fuel from the coast to our consumers, and we calibrate those meters and tanks that you use. Currently, we have one of the best equipment in Africa for calibration of storage tanks. Currently, we don't have, because they are still in Germany. I was in Germany last week. We were calibrating them to make sure that they are of the level that is traceable, so that we don't have any error associated. As you know, technology was measurement of length is now by light. So we are using light to measure, to accurately measure the distance and the calibration, or the, what you call, is it calibration or? It's calibration, eh? And one of our biggest customers currently is Kenya Pipeline and Kenya Refinery. We are calibrating for them. On the side of meters, we are calibrating all the Kenya Pipeline meters. And as we calibrate, we measure concurrently with the tank to make sure that whatever is in the fuel tank is the one that is being dispensed is the same. And our errors are very small. We have other
customers. They are here who are still doing the job, but they are using the older system. So what I can tell our customer like you is that let us work together. Let us use this equipment that we have. And I can assure you that that error of 1 million or 3 million will not be there. We are having an uncertainty, I don't know if you understand that, of 0.01. And we have published CMCs at our PIPM, where our director is, to ensure that we are at par with the best of this world. So I can assure you that we are up to the task. On the issue of LBG, we are already there. As you know, LBG is measured in mass. You are told this is 13 kilograms of gas. It's not 13 liters. So we have worked with the standards department, and we are currently calibrating those meters. So you are safe, but you can tell our clients that come to us, we shall show you what we do. Thank you very much. Unless there is another question in the same.
Yes, that's very encouraging. And later on, as we wind up the conversation, we'd like to hear about how then advancements in technology and the age of AI and how that then is being used to advance these conversations. But it's encouraging to hear that that is being done, that clients can trust the Kenya Bureau of Standards as well. So,
as I informed you, you have the best equipment in the world currently.
The best, that's in capital letters,
yes,
eh?
Yes.
Best equipment. Yes. We hear you. Bold, capitalized, yes. We hear you. So, Grace, you can respond on medical calibration.
Okay, before I respond, I would also like to agree with my colleague Bernard that indeed we have the best in the whole world. So back to the question on when you walk to a hospital, how do you know if the equipment is calibrated? So as a patient or as a caregiver of the patient, it is important to at least ask the doctors that is this equipment calibrated? Or usually if it's a weighing scale, anything that is calibrated will always have a sticker saying when it was calibrated. So, but I also understand it is difficult. It is difficult for you as a patient to walk and ask the doctor, probably you are very sick. And because of that, my colleague had talked about what we call the business law that was enacted in December. So with this business law, the patients are going to be really, really protected because the law makes medical calibration mandatory. So moving forward, we'll have a way of enforcing that if this is a hospital, all the equipment are mandatory calibrated. At least that will ease the burden of the patient, always having to ask, is this calibrated? Is this not calibrated? You know, or trying to ask the doctor. You know, at times the people can get very defensive. I'm taking your weight and you are trying to look for the sticker on the equipment. So to ease that burden, we have the business law that is going to take that. But as we move to the hospital, I would also like to emphasize that it is our responsibility, me as a person and all of us, that let us make our money at the hospital let us make the hospital give us value for our money. When you walk into the hospital and you are not in such a bad condition, always ask, is this weighing machine calibrated? Is this thermometer calibrated? Yes, as we also enforce the business law. So the second question was, what is KEBS doing to ensure that the public is getting awareness in terms of calibration? So as KEBS, we're doing a lot of workshops. And one of the ways we are doing this is like a forum like this, the World Metrology Day, which you are really focusing on just telling the public, guys, calibration is important, especially the medical calibration. We also do a lot on social media. If you follow KEBS on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and all those social media platforms, you realize that we talk about calibration. Like for the last 1 week, I think the whole month, we've been talking about the importance of calibration in medical and all areas of industrial areas, and why it is important for you to also bring your equipment for calibration. So we do workshops, we do social media, and the other week also we had our management doing radio shows and TV shows just to enlighten people on importance of calibration.
Thank you for that, Grace. You said a point there that when you're able, slightly ill, then you can ask if the equipment is calibrated. But the hope is that from these discussions and getting partners on board, that a time shall come when you're taken into hospital as accidents and emergency. You don't have to ask. The equipment is calibrated. You get the best. So as it's 150 years, we are not where we were, and definitely we're not where we are going. I'd like to change focus. I see there's a question on food. You have guests then in brief on that conversation.
Okay, this is now too loud. Anyway, I would like to bring out something in this discussion. When you're talking about metrology, most of the time we are thinking about only physical metrology. But there is also something else that we need to think about, called metrology in chemistry and biology. When you are going to the hospital, they are going to use physical equipment to measure pressure and whatever. But at times, the decisions that they make is based on some tests, like microbiological tests. How is it traceable? Yeah? And the ARSO Secretary General mentioned something very, very important, very pertinent. Reference materials. Do we have reference materials? Are these reference materials traceable? Can we trust them? Are our measurements, when we are performing our measurements, do we have controls in place to ensure that the measurements are accurate? For example, when you are telling somebody that you have cholera, how sure are you that this person has cholera? Is it traces, or is this person, when they are doing that at the microbiological load, is it flooded, or is it traces? How are we able to do that? So there's a new and emerging, it's not really new, actually. Metrology and chemistry and biology started in 1993. But in Kenya, we're still taking root in this. But how are we sure that when you go to hospital, when they tell you that you are sick or you have, like, let's say when you're looking at the blood sugar level, they tell you that your sugar level is high. They're usually using a glucimeter to test for that. It must be verified or calibrated against a certified reference material. Do we have these certified reference materials in our hospital? These are the questions we need to be asking ourselves. Do hospitals need to be supported in this way? Who is supporting them? Where are they getting the certified reference material? Are the certified reference materials traceable? Are they participating in proficiency testing schemes, etc.? And most of the time, these questions are usually asked by the accreditation body when they go to check the competence of the health facilities or the medical laboratories. So it is important that even as we think about the equipment that we use for the measurement, we also need to look at the other systems that assure the quality of the measurements results that you are giving. A good one is if the laboratory is participating in inter-laboratory comparisons and if they are using reference materials. Thank you very much.
Yes, briefly before we shift gears.
Thank you. I wanted to respond on the issue of the losses in the fuel sector. And we know very well that we import our fuel from outside. So the first thing that, the first point of call is at the KOT, that is the Kipevu Oil Terminal. Last year, when the KOT2 came into place, there were meters that had been brought by the contractor. And those meters, when we took them for testing in Netherlands, we found them to be having a very big error. The error was about 0.8%. And against an error of 0.25 that is allowed for initial verification of such meters, because those are custody transfer meters. And we had to return them and tell them that those meters would lead us to losses. As he's saying that, you can imagine 1 million liters, and we are pumping fuel from the ship. We are pumping millions of liters. If any error, any slight percentage would automatically translate to a big loss. The other thing is that we have countries like Zanzibar, sometimes they store fuel at Kipevu. Then we found that the backflow now, because the meter is supposed to be able to deliver and also deliver on the other side, we found even the errors at the backflow were even higher than even the errors coming in. Meaning that if I took in 1 million liters from Zanzibar today, and then they came to collect it tomorrow, I might even give them 1.2 million liters. So those are the issues that we had to say, these meters are not fit for our business. Now, from the KOT, we have the storage tanks. Well, of course, there is a calibration of those tanks. Of course, I had said earlier that when it comes to legal metrology, you start with the requirements. How do you build your tanks? Because if there are seepages in those tanks, definitely those leakages will translate into losses. Then from there, we have the meters now transmitting the fuel from the tanks up country. Those meters we have confirmed, and we are continuing to ensure that KPC upgrades their meters to custody transfer, even at the depots where you receive your fuel. And then we do verification of the dispensing pumps at the petrol station. I know your members are quite active in that sector. We have approved several dispensers for use for retail of fuel, and we have kept on insisting that ensure that your members only buy approved equipment. That is the only time you'll also be able to ensure that you also don't lose the fuel that comes to your tank. Because in case you have an approved pump, it might over-dispense fuel. 2, it might also under-dispense the fuel to the customer. For example, I've seen the bodabodas are very clever. Whenever you open a new station, they'll show up there with some form of measurement to confirm that you're actually delivering a liter to them. And they can tell, even when they sit, when they sit at the places where they sit, they can actually tell you, when you go to station A, do not fuel at pump 1, fuel at pump 8. Because we have confirmed that that particular dispensing pump is accurate. So please talk to your members, encourage them to work with the Department of Weights and Measures so that they can have those pumps verified. But even before they invest in buying them, because pumps are not cheap, let them ensure that those pumps are type approved by the Department of Weights and Measures, and they are also verified annually, or in case they suspect either under delivery or over delivery. Now, on the issue of losses emanating from ATGs, I think what the director meant that time is that the calibration that is done on those particular tanks, some of the people who do the calibrations are not using standards, because you see, everything has to depend on a standard. If you're doing the tapes to do the calibration of those particular tanks, and then you find that those tapes are not standards, what exactly would that mean? It would translate to errors. Those errors is where their losses are coming from. So we need to ensure that we have standards which are being used for calibration so that we can get proper ATGs in place, so that even when your members install those tanks, when they are calibrated, they are sure that that pump, that particular tank contains 1,000 liters, and even the ATG is able to read correctly because the tank has been calibrated properly. The issue of LPG pumps, this one has come quite fast, but the department operates in the perspective that when you now bring this equipment, you must apply for type approval for you to be allowed to sell that particular equipment. Currently, we are processing an approval for an LPG pump, which will be used at those particular stations, so that we ensure our customers, the people who are using LPG cars, they will be able to get value for money. On the bioethanol, we have a success story. I know you have maybe interacted with Coco Networks. Coco Networks came to us about 6 years ago. They came with the idea that the ethanol fuel can be used for cooking. We have worked with them on the approval. We have made recommendations severally on the various parts that need to be incorporated into the model, because the fuel pump is not as big maybe as the ones in the stations, because they have designed a canister with a maximum capacity of about 2.3 liters. So you know what happens if you move the fuel too fast. You need a slow pump so that he's able to fill that canister in a proper manner, no bursts, and also to ensure that the accuracy is maintained. So we have worked with Coco Networks, and they have been able to achieve almost zero error. Actually, I think I was in Nakuru last week, and we were doing a review of the approval, because we usually do approvals reviews. And this one can also inform the industry that those pumps are, the approval is reviewed every 5 years. So we have been working with them on the review of the approval, and the approval, I can say, it's a great improvement, because you would find almost 99% of those pumps have zero errors, even after 2 years of operation. So you don't even need to calibrate them, because initially we used to do a lot of calibration. And of course, when you do a lot of calibration on any weighing or measuring equipment, it is a clear indication that that equipment is not working properly, or it was not manufactured properly for that particular work. Because you usually say any instrument that is used for trade should be fit for purpose. So the moment you find calibrations being done now and then on any particular equipment, you can be assured that that equipment is not fit for purpose. So that success story on Coco Networks, as today we are having this conversation on measurements for all, Coco Networks has been able to spread its tentacles outside Nairobi to Nakuru, Kisumu, Mombasa, Nyeri. I think maybe some of you interacted with those canisters from whereby they are selling bioethanol fuel. The issue of reticulation, of course, this one will also emanate from as we deal with the LPG pumps, we'll also be coming up with the approved meters, which will be now installed in your homes, so that when the reticulation kicks in, you'll be able to have approved meters, which will be accurate and which will be verified by the Department of Weights and Measures. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like us to shift gears now and look at the food sector. Caroline, can you tell us again, as an overview, with regard to the food sector, why is calibration critical in the food industry, particularly ensuring food safety and quality?
Good afternoon, everyone. When I use my mind to measure the energy level, it seems to be a bit low. Yeah, I see we are a bit awake. So for the food industry, when we look at calibration, I'll put it in 3 buckets. This is on quality, food safety, regulatory, and legal compliance. Yeah. So on quality, we are looking at, you've committed to your consumer that they will get a certain experience from your product. Yeah. So as an industry, you need to live up to that. On food safety, you also have a responsibility to ensure that the product that you're giving your consumers does not cause harm to them. Yeah. And then overall, as part of governance, then our regulators, being KEBS, and as a legal mandate, you're expected to make sure that you live up to the commitments that you offer your consumers. So as an industry, when we break down that, there's a whole list of reasons why calibration is really important, but I'll give a few examples. So the first one, I would say it ensures accuracy of your process, yeah? So in this case, let's look at a product like milk. So one of the critical controls in milk is temperature. Ensure that milk is pasteurized so that you kill any microbes or organisms in it before you give it to the consumer. So there's thermal control at this point. So if the temperature measuring devices for this area are not are not calibrated, can you imagine what that will happen? You're even talking about one batch of product going to so many of us consumers. So calibration ensures that there's accuracy in the data and ensure the safety of our product. The next one is consistency, yeah? So if your if your equipment or your device is calibrated, it will be consistent in the product that you generate out of it. And this applies mostly around quality. So if you've told your consumer that you will get a certain experience, for example, sugar level in this product of this point, but then your equipment is not calibrated and you underdose, and the consumer gets, a sugar experience that is below expectation, yeah, that is deemed as being unethical because you declared a certain level of parameter or experience to the consumer, and this is not coming through. One of the other reasons we really have to calibrate for the food industry is around traceability, yeah. So in the food industry, sometimes you might be involved in situations of investigations, and you want to do a root cause analysis or a problem solving to understand what really went wrong. One of the key records that help you get to the root cause of that in terms of recall or product related incidents is calibration records. Those really come in handy. The other one is around what our regulators ask of us, yeah? So the KEB standards and other standards that we use in markets that we supply product are very clear. They tell us this is the target parameter for, for the chemical analysis, for the physical analysis, for microbial analysis, for weights, so far and so forth. So we have to ensure that we adhere to that, yeah? In the food industry, we also sometimes can calibrate human beings. For example, when you're doing a sensory analysis, sometimes this becomes a bit subjective. So you teach the pilots of the tongue to learn to taste, certain flavors, pick the off notes, out of it. And also for the team that is in the lab doing the test, we also, administer the proficiency testing so that we make sure that there's consistency in the results that come out of it. So there's a whole list of reasons why it's really important. And we actually are very proud. I've been in about 5 food industries, and all along KEBS has been a really good partner. Their regulator, yes, they check that we are doing the right thing, but they are also our educators, our consultants. And it's in the last couple of years, it's been very refreshing to feel comfortable to engage them, even when things don't seem so right. And they've come through for us and supported us in making sure that we give safe product to our consumers.
Thank you for your kind words.
Yeah.
I'll see you, what they say, nyuma ya tent, to know about the test buds calibration.
Yeah.
As we wind up, I'll pose a question to each one of you about innovations and future trends and what role they play. But I don't know if there's anyone in the audience who has a question, so that if not, then we read from Menti. So let's look at after the trainings you have undergone at KEBS, how do you ensure integrity of the team or trained personnel while working in calibration are compliance to the stipulated standards? So this falls on integrity of the team or the trained personnel. MD, you are at the helm of the Kenya Bureau of Standards. Maybe you can speak on your staff as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let me talk about the issues of integrity. And as you are all aware, integrity is so personal. It is so personal. And as much as we would try to, and we really speak about integrity, it is so personal, but we speak to our people about the integrity when they are dealing with the clients, when they are going out there to do calibration. But one of the things we have done as an institution is the issue of automation of our processes, such that you're able to apply for your calibration services or any other service for Kenya Bureau of Standards online, and then we are able to monitor within the systems. Therefore, we use automation. Right now, we are doing metrims, metrology limbs, and that normally monitors on what is going on. But the most important thing is that we speak to our staff on issues of integrity. Thank you.
Thank you, MD. So we'll not, thank you for your comments, informative and engaging. We can move to the next. So who holds the mandate of ensuring that all energy meters are calibrated, and how will a consumer know that I think this was answered. This was answered, we can go to the next. What happens to equipment in hospitals that have no traceability from KEBS, for example, hematology, and how do you calibrate them? So Grace, maybe briefly, I know it's a law now that every medical equipment should be calibrated, but so what happens to equipment in hospital that has no traceability from KEBS? Are there other people who calibrate that?
Currently, as Kenya Bureau of Standards, we have more than 7 labs that are offering medical calibration. So if you have an equipment in the hospital that is not calibrated, the first thing I will recommend is please drop an email to us, and then from there we'll be able to assist you. Yes.
Thank you. And yeah, I'm a witness that emails are responded to, info@KEBS, we respond to that as well. Thank you, Grace.
Yes.
So we'll go to the next one. As a food scientist, how does metrology impact on product quality and safety? Dr. Luvoga, maybe you can briefly answer that.
I think this one has already been answered eloquently by Caroline here. But as a food scientist, you need to know that when you are in the industry, there are a number of things that you get engaged in. One of them is just to ensure the safety of the food that is being placed in the market, and you want to ensure that when the food is safe. Remember, we are talking about food safety, and there's also something called food security. So there's no food security when there's no food safety. We can have so much maize in the country, but it has aflatoxin. So that means that maize is available, but it is not. It's accessible, but it's not available to be taken because it is unsafe for human consumption. So food safety is a very critical part. Now, for you to ensure that the food is safe, you need to carry out measurements. And these measurements are carried out using instruments. And also, the tests that are being carried out, you use tools to check with the quality of the measurement results that you're giving. So for example, if you're doing something like aflatoxins, then you will need to use something, you'll need to use reference materials for calibrating of the equipment. You know, like if you're using an LC, MSMS, or liquid chromatography with mass spectrometer, or if you're using a liquid chromatography with fluorescence detector, you need to calibrate the equipment, give it information, and it gives you an output. So depending on the relationship of the input and output, when you prepare your sample and then you place it into the instrument, it can now tell you there is so much aflatoxin or there's nothing present in this food, and the food is now safe.
Thank you. We almost got into an engineering class. You're not an engineer, but thank you for the details. And I like the concept of safety and security. Yeah. Doesn't mean availability then is safe for everyone. So that next question, shocking details. However, that I think we've answered. How can we avoid such grave error that is contributed by the testing kits through calibration of, yeah. I'd like us to go through all of them because so that we don't repeat. So we see that metrology is very integral in our daily lives. It affects those who don't even know about it. Should it be introduced in high school courses like history? I agree, very intriguing. We live it, we need to, I think we learn about it. It's just that we never call it metrology, to be honest. How frequent are calibrations done in medical and industrial equipment? That has been answered, depending on some 1 year, 2 years. And a very good point of if an equipment is calibrated often, then you need to rethink if that equipment is working. How does KEBS verify that the calibration was done correctly? Do you conduct random tests or do you only check the stickers? Stanyakiamo, briefly, how do we verify that calibration was done correctly? And do you conduct random tests or do you only check the stickers?
Yeah, thank you for that question, whoever sent it. What I know is that anything you do or any result you give is as good as the equipment and the person conducting it. At KEBS, most of what we do in terms of calibration is done by experts. We take a lot of our time to ensure that the person coming to calibrate your equipment is trained, amehudumu, and that particular calibration will meet the par. So we encourage even the hospital fraternity, come to KEBS, engage with us, join our trainings, which we normally take around the country, and please ensure that whoever is touching that equipment has the know-how for that particular equipment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Nyakiamu. I want to hold that thought so that, yes, but after that, then if you have something else to add, we can do that in conclusion later on. But
No, I just wanted to add to what Nyakiama said. Has eloquently put it. In addition to all that, whoever is carrying out or whose equipment has been calibrated should also do things that are called intermediate checks. So if you can have your own standards or reference materials, or you can participate in interlaboratory comparison, it gives another layer of assurance that the equipment is working well. Because remember, equipment is about input and output. So if you put an input and there's an expected output and you're not getting it, then it means that there's a problem with the equipment. You probably need to either to have it recalibrated or repaired. Thank you.
thank you. This next question, I want to pose it to the representative from KENAS. How does KEBS ensure secondary calibration standards are periodically calibrated by the accredited labs? Is there a way to emphasize this?
Thank you for this rare opportunity. KEBS and KENAS are partners in the quality infrastructure in this country. For the accredited labs, we insist that they must obtain traceability to SI units or to the national reference standards at KEBS. That is one of the requirements for you to be an accredited calibration laboratory. Number two, we use a mechanism of surveillance. In these days, we call it periodic evaluation to confirm that at any point, every 6 months for a first accredited lab and annually for the others that have a running accreditation, that the equipment they have been calibrated and are traceable to SI units or to the national reference standards. Some of the staff here are our experts. So we are working in partnership with you at KEBS to ensure that the dissemination of this traceability is actually a reality. It is actually emphasized. And now with the business laws, you cannot operate any lab of any kind, any inspection body of any kind, any certification of any kind without accreditation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So this next question, I think it has been touched on with technical personnel being part of the requirement in calibration. How does KEBS ensure that the accredited labs have well-trained personnel at all levels? So we've touched on that, and I want to insist or emphasize that the QR code on your program, you can scan it for feedback. This is like our, I don't want to say IEBC, like it's our Form 30, what were elections? But this is where if you feel like you were not answered well or properly, you can still ask prompt further and we will give you feedback that's thorough. So on the food industry, magnets play a critical role in extraction of metal during processing. how does the NMI at KEBS ensure that these magnets are calibrated and to which reference standard?
Thank you. At KEBS, we have a standard for calibration of magnets that are used in food industry. So all the magnets that are in the food industry, we have a capability to calibrate all of them. Of recent, we've been calibrating the magnets in various industries. So in case of any query, we can always answer, but we have the capability of calibrating all the reference standards and the magnets used in food industries.
Thank you, Jacqueline. So we will, why is, I thought the MC not widely accepted locally? Why is metrology in KEBS not accepted locally? But ladies and gentlemen, what I want us to do right now, because most of our watches are calibrated, and as somebody from the food industry said, that once they use their mic, they're realizing that the energy levels are slowly dipping. I want to assure you that we will respond to these questions individually to whoever has asked them. But at this point, I'd like us from Emmanuel, from the medical sector, about emerging trends, if it's AI, innovation, how then does this affect calibration now or moving forward? So in brief, as we wind up this session, how can we then leverage on innovation and technology?
So I'll comment on innovation. I had the PS complain that you are not doing enough manufacturing. So I'm sure many of you are aware or not, in the medical field, there is a lot of innovation going on medical devices, because we've discovered most of our medical equipment come from China, and they are not meant for African population. If you get something like a patient monitor, the cuff size that we normally get are not a fit for the Africa population. So what we are doing a lot of innovation in the medical devices. And at Kutra, in our innovation hub, one of our core units is measurements traceability. And here we ensure that before any innovation starts, we bring in the principle of calibration, measurements, and traceability. Just to give one example, during the COVID era, when we needed ventilators at a very high demand, ventilators stopped coming into the country. So we were forced to innovate and come up with our own ventilator known as TibaVent. And I'm sure KEBS are aware because we brought them in at the initial stage, because we understand as a hospital that innovation without calibration and traceability is as well as nothing. So at Kutra, we have ensured that one of our core units in our innovation hub is measurement and traceability. Thank you.
Indeed, innovation is the mother of all necessity, and that's quite a great innovation. Irene.
Okay, for us, in the energy sector, we've moved towards having smart grids, having field instruments that measure temperature, pressure, being IoT enabled. This way,
by IoT enabled?
Internet of Things, IoT. So the field sensors, they collect the data and send them to a centralized location where we normally have SCADA. SCADA is just a system that collects the data, it supervises, it does control, it does data acquisition and monitoring. So using the data that has been collected, when we have historical data as well as current data, we can use the IoT as well as AI algorithms so that we can predict when something is about to fail. So we can use the same technology to predict when an equipment is due for calibration. So I think that's one of the things we should move towards. And also having our calibration management system being cloud-based, so that anyone based in any locations, as you know, most of our stations are in different areas of the country, so that having the cloud-based management system, anyone can calibrate the equipment wherever they are, and the data is consolidated in one location.
Thank you. We move on to the food sector.
Yes. So when I think of automation, there's two opportunities I see. The first one that we've implemented specifically in our industry is having smart monitoring or measuring devices. So these devices are linked to a system. So we've moved away from where you have to physically go pick the data, trend on a piece of paper, and the system gives you real-time trends for this year. So even if you've scheduled for 6 months calibration frequency, if the trend tells you this calibration reading is not working, so then you can intervene early on. Yeah. So the next opportunity is having online measuring devices inbuilt into equipment that we use either for processing or packaging. And these would have alarms, either sound or visual, that would stop anytime the readings are off, and you're able to attend to it before it has any impact on quality or food safety.
As a regulator, you know that we cannot compromise on accuracy. So when these instruments come into play, we keep on monitoring them to ensure that as much as the IoT enabled, they are basically delivering what they are supposed to do. In case there is any breakdown, there is a retention of information which can be referred to and it can be referenced. There is also the audit files that we can be able to refer to understand what exactly was the problem when the equipment failed, or when if it was maybe dispensing fuel, we can be able to tell exactly what could be failing before even the instruments completely breaks down. But we are working with the industry players to ensure that these instruments we have more and more of those instruments, because that's the way the world is going. Thank you.
Thank you.
My area is metrology in chemistry and biology. It is one of the most dynamic and fast-growing areas of metrology. Actually, in the developed National Metrology Institute, it takes up like even up to 80% of the work that they do, because there are so many chemicals and there are so many living organisms in this world. So you cannot be able to do everything for all of them. So basically what was being done at the international arena is we take proxy, like proxy foods and proxy chemicals. For example, if you're looking at things like pesticide residues, there are like around 1,000 pesticides, maybe even more than that, but you cannot analyze all of them. So you select, you classify them into categories, and you select one, and then you analyze. And when somebody has demonstrated capability to do measurement of one, it also means that they can also do measurement of the others. So that is one of the things that we do. At Kenya Bureau of Standards, we are we participate at international interlaboratory comparison, and we file calibration and measurement capabilities. Those are called CMCs, which just shows the level of competence of our measurement as a National Metrology Institute. And it also shows the service that we offer to the customers. So when a customer wants to perform a certain measurement, then they know that KEBS has this capability, because it has been demonstrated through the interlaboratory comparison and the filing of calibration and measurement capabilities. And the numbers are growing. We are also offering proficiency testing scheme, PTs. In fact, we are in the process of being accredited by KENAS. KENAS, I hope you are going to be getting a certificate soon. We've gone through the whole process. It's just about receiving our certificate of accreditation, and we have a wide scope of our proficiency testing schemes that we offer. Next year, KENAS is still in business. We are going into reference material. So we want to be accredited as reference material producers based on ISO 17034, so that as an organization, when you are producing reference material, it shows that we are competent. That gives our customers the confidence that these reference materials that we are using, even if when he decides to go to the medical field or whatever field, the reference material that we offer is of the high standard because of the competence of the laboratory that is doing that. Now, we are also looking into the future. Like when you're talking about chemicals, some of them we are not able to do them in the laboratory, or they are not available, easily available, so we are looking into in silico production of chemicals. This is computer generated, and hopefully we'll be able to produce these materials in the country that are so expensive to produce, are so expensive to synthesize, but we want to find a way of making sure that we are producing them in the country so that they are available to our local people at an affordable price. And then, of course, we have already mentioned, our MD mentioned something to do with the limbs. We are integrating our systems and our processes to the laboratory information management system to increase our efficiency and productivity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Finally, Grace, in a minute or two.
Okay, so in terms of metrology, we are looking at automation as one way of increasing accuracy. As we all know, in metrology, accuracy is very key. So one of the ways we are working on is to ensure the department has more than 14 laboratories that do measurements. One way to ensure accuracy is we are working on ensuring that all our equipment are automated. This will increase accuracy and also our output as a department. And then we're also looking at, we are currently implementing LIMS, Laboratory Information System, that ensures our process is transparent and eliminates any kind of bias by using the system. In terms of the certificate and stickers that we're using, we are currently doing what we call digitization of our certificates and stickers. By this, you are able to verify a certificate just by scanning the QR code, and you're also able to verify the sticker that has been provided just by scanning the QR code on the sticker. So just allow me to talk about this last bit in terms of the future of metrology. Yeah. For me, the future of metrology has been well aligned by the business law, because we're having everybody asking, what is KEBS doing to secure patients? What is KEBS doing to ensure that when you go to the hospital, you are safe? So the answer to this is the business law. And I would also like to say that we've been going to hospitals, but just to market and say, please bring your equipment for calibration, ensure you are calibrating. But now with the business law, we will now be coming to enforce and say, it's mandatory, you have to do this. So I think I'll have to end there. Thank you.
Thank you. And as we wind up this session, MD, I'll give you an opportunity to,
Thank you. Thank you so much. I wanted to just add another aspect on the issues of integrity, and to say that Kenya Bureau of Standards is certified for anti-bribery management system. This is a system where we have put in place governance structures within the institution. And one of the things you have done, and you can visit our website, we have different channels of reporting. So for my listeners, the people who are here and those who are online, if you have an issue of an integrity about any staff member of Kenya Bureau of Standards, you can go to our website. There's a portal where you can report. Either you can give your name or you can report anonymously, give details, and then we'll be able to get back to you, and we will provide you with information on exactly what has happened. This is the whistleblowers portal on our website. Thank you.
Thank you, MD. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, they have given us their insights. You have given us your time. We want to close this, and you can now leave the stage. Thank you very much, Emmanuel Njoroge from Kenyatta University Teaching and Referral, Irene Gachohi from Kengen, asante sana, Caroline Mishemi from Mars, Wrigley, asante sana, Mr. Joseph Jaramba, thank you very much, Dr. Caleb Luvoga and Grace Ateka, asanteni sana. Now, hapa ni pale finally, or rather as we conclude, I'd like us to give a round of applause to our director, Miriam Kahiro, to give the vote of thanks. Karibu sana.
Good afternoon. I guess I'm the least lucky one because I'm the one standing in between you and lunch. So you keep wanting me to hurry up. So I'll try and do my best. It is my great honor to stand before you to give the closing remarks and also to give our vote of thanks as Kenya Bureau of Standards. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon once more. Truly the energy is down. I promise you lunch is 2 to 15 minutes away. As we draw the curtain on today's celebration, I stand here moved, inspired, and filled with gratitude. Today we haven't just marked a historic milestone, 150 years of the Metre Convention. We've also illuminated a profound truth that we've all heard today. That measurement is not just about numbers, it is about people, progress, and purpose. The theme of this year, which we have just been told, measurements for all times, for all people. It echoes a timeless truth that the pursuit of accuracy, fairness, and trust in measurement transcends generations. We've heard it's from the year 1818. Yes, so it transcends generations, sectors, and borders. Indeed, measurement is not just a technical function. It is a cornerstone of justice in trade, equity in access, safety in our systems, and sustainability for our future. Measurement is a language of trust. It governs trade, safeguards health, ensures fairness, protects consumers, and drives innovation. It is the silent but powerful foundation of modern life. Measurement is not something that shouts. We don't even think about it. But without it, then we would not have the society we have now. So from energy meters that power our industries, to calibrated medical equipment that saves lives, from weighing scales in our local markets, to precision instruments in our national labs, metrology is the guardian of accuracy, accountability, and advancement. Indeed, without measurement, there is no meaningful development. As Kenya, we are pursuing bold national aspirations. Through Vision 2030, we are working towards a globally competitive and prosperous nation with manufacturing, infrastructure, and healthcare at the forefront. All of this depend on accurate, reliable measurement systems. Under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, commonly known as BETTER, we are determined to unlock opportunity from the grassroots upwards. That means building trust in the weights and measures from border fuel pumps, we had that being talked about here, to smallholder milk producers. And through our participation in the African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, we know this, we are preparing Kenyan goods and services to move seamlessly across the continent, and metrology is the foundation of that trust. Looking ahead, the future of measurement must be inclusive, Mahesh. It must be inclusive, innovative, and inspired. We must democratize access to accurate measurement. We must invest in digital metrology and resilient infrastructure that can serve both rural and urban populations. Because if you ask Mama Mboga what is metrology, or you go to that kiosk, so what do we do about it? And we must build capacity, raising a new generation of scientists, technicians, and entrepreneurs who see metrology not just as a backroom activity, but as a nation-building mandate. It is fitting then that today's theme, measurements for all times, for all people, calls us to reflection and resolve. As we celebrate 150 years of Metre Convention, we are reminded that accuracy is timeless, equity is universal, and excellence knows no boundary. In this moment, we are invited to build a future where no measurement is too small to matter, and no person is too far to benefit. Let us be the generation that transforms measurement from a silent servant to a strategic pillar in every sector of our national and continental development. Let me now express my deepest appreciation and on behalf of Kenya Bureau of Standards to the individuals and institutions who have made this day truly remarkable. To our chief guest in absentia, our PS Dr. Juma Mukwana, thank you for gracing this event and for your steadfast support for Kenya's industrial and technological growth. Anyone who knows our PS knows the passion he has for industrialization. You continually affirm that standards, science, and metrology are not luxuries, they are necessities. To the chairman and members of the National Standards Council, you are the visionaries behind the progress of KEBS. You have seen potential where others saw routine. You have guided the leadership with wisdom and strategic foresight, especially in advancing the role of metrology as a national priority. Your presence today is a mark of your commitment, and we thank you sincerely. To Dr. Hemogene Sengimana, the esteemed Secretary General of ARSO, thank you for walking this journey with us and for leading Africa into a new era of standards harmonization and metrology cooperation. Your voice is bold and your leadership is invaluable. Thank you so much. To our Managing Director, Ms. Esther Ngari, we salute you today. Under your leadership, KEBS continues to rise as a pillar of public trust and industrial integrity. Your passion for excellence and your courage to innovate is transforming systems, mindsets, and outcomes. We celebrate you, our dear MD. To the CEOs, industry leaders, and distinguished guests, thank you for honoring this occasion with your presence. We are ever so grateful as KEBS. Your partnership is essential in making metrology accessible, visible, and relevant in every sector. And to the amazing gentlemen and ladies who sat in front here and shared generously their intellect and their knowledge, we say thank you. You've shared with us not just technical insights, but the real life power of measurement in the medical sector, energy and utilities, food and agriculture, petroleum industry, and beyond. Your brilliance, your passion, and your generosity have left us better informed and deeply enriched. You have shown us that metrology touches every heartbeat of the economy. Let us applaud them once again. Thank you so much. And to the metrology department, Mihesh, you can stand up. This is our chief manager and head of metrology in Kenya Bureau of Standards. I want also your team to stand up. Everyone who works in metrology, please stand up. Let us clap for them. Wow. Such a big group. Oh, amazing, amazing. So to this team, led by Mr. Martin Nyakiamo, AKA Mhesh, you can see it is written here. Our Mheshimiwa, the only Mheshimiwa in KEBS other than our chairman. We offer our highest praise. You are the unsung heroes of our national infrastructure, and I'm speaking to each one of you individually on behalf of KEBS. You operate in the shadows, yet your impact is in the light of everything we see and do. Your work often goes unnoticed by the public, but its impact is profound and far-reaching. Through your commitment to precision and accuracy, you literally safeguard lives and livelihoods. It is your calibration of medical equipment that determines the correct dosage of life-saving treatments, your diligence that ensures incubators keep premature babies alive, and your vigilance that guarantees gas cylinders are safe and do not become instruments of disaster. You give hope to the critically ill, uphold fairness in trade, and ensure our nation functions with trust and integrity. You are the quiet force behind public safety and economic confidence, true custodians of national well-being. For your brilliance, integrity, and faithful service, we offer our deepest and most heartfelt gratitude. Asanteni sana. Thank you very much. You may have your seat. Now, if your boss has never thanked you before, now you have it. Now you have it. Then to our great team, Martin Nyakiamo, please stand up. You're receiving handshakes, na bado kuna ingine. CEO Dominic Ondoro, Dr. Caleb Lubonga, Calvin Bore, Richard Odak, Gasheri Kimathi, Jacqueline Omolo, Judy Wanjiro Mwangi, Mercy Kandie, Helen Wahu, there you are, Faith Maina, Mbeke Diba, yes, and that's my PA. So, so this team is a very important team. They're the planning committee. They're the people who made this happen. Let us clap for them. So to this team, I would say, your fingerprints are on every detail of today's success. From the first concept to the final flourish, you have poured your time, creativity, and unwavering dedication into making this celebration not only seamless, but truly exceptional. Your teamwork has been nothing short of exemplary, marked by excellence, grace under pressure, and an unyielding commitment to deliver a world-class experience. You have given us a day worthy of the occasion, and your behind-the-scenes brilliance has brought honor to this institution called KEBS. We thank you deeply for the long hours, the thoughtful touches, and the passion with which you have served. Thank you very much. And for the planning committee, please don't sit, just come in front here. I'll have some work for you in a few. For the rest, let us continue with, as I finalize the Thanksgiving. Then, of course, to the people I really love, the KEBS choir. Please stand up. These guys are amazing. They usually just give me goosebumps every time they sing. Your voices did more than sing today. They stirred our hearts and lifted our spirits. The power and precision with which you sang, I can confirm you're calibrated. You're properly calibrated. And of special note that really impacted me is the KEBS anthem. That was nothing short of breathtaking. In your harmonies, we had not just melody, but the soul of this institution. Steadfast, united, and full of purpose. A reflection of our leadership from the top, our MD and the NSC. Your music ushered us into moments of reflection and pride, and reminded us that excellence can also be heard and felt, because you made us hear and feel what excellence is about and what standards is about. You are not only a choir, you are ambassadors of the KEBS spirit. We honor you for your gift, your discipline, and the atmosphere of beauty you bring to every single occasion of KEBS. Asanteni sana. So, and to the KEBS family who are seated here, you're more than my colleagues. You're national builders, system thinkers, and public servants of the highest order. May your hands be blessed. May your mission prosper. And may your efforts remain anchored in truth and in God. And last but not least, Mercy Kandie. And finally, please come, because this is one lady that has astounded me today. And finally, allow me to extend a special and heartfelt thank you to our Master of Ceremonies, Miss Mercy Kandie. Mercy Kandie is, I think, 2 months old or 1 month old. She is our new corporate communications manager. She's barely finished induction. And what a show. She has, Mercy Kandie has graced, for those who've seen her, has graced our local and international screens, TV screens, delivering impactful news articles for years. And now we have the privilege to call her our own here at KEBS. What a breath of fresh air you are, Mercy. Your eloquence, composure, and spirited presence have infused this event with a new energy. You have outstanded us, at least me, not only with your voice, but your gift of connection. You have shown us that communication is not simply about speaking, it's about inspiring, with Mesopotamia tales and all that. Thank you for elevating this event with grace and brilliance. Just for your information, please know that you have rendered some people, including Wakazi, jobless. The guys who usually came to MC for us, well done, Mercy, and welcome to KEBS. So, as I conclude, because I'm now concluding, I'm reminded of Proverbs. Yes, the book of the Bible, Proverbs 16:11. Honest scales and balances belong to the Lord. All the weights in the bag are of his making. May we continue to walk in that truth as KEBS and as everyone seated here representing industries, in every lab, in every industry, in every decision. And most importantly, let everything that we do bring glory and honor to our Father in heaven. Let today not be the end, but a beginning. Let us measure with precision. Let us lead with vision. Let us serve with conviction. Let us pursue a future where no one is left behind, not in access, not in equity, not in excellence. May God bless you. May God bless Kenya Bureau of Standards. May God bless the Republic of Kenya. Asanteni sana. So with that, the committee can come up. MD, we have something small for you to appreciate you. So please come up as well. You can take over. You can take over.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, this is where I say that there's a disclaimer somewhere, and please accept the disclaimer. I've worked with, I think, 9 MDs in Kenya Bureau of Standards. In the metrology department, we are very privileged with the guidance. I think we have been gifted an MD. I can say, please, God bless you. Makofi hakuna. Okay. I say this with a very warm heart that we've worked with MDs, but this one is truly hands-on. Nikisema I don't have X, all she has to say is this must be done. Approved. This, what we have just put here together, she said it must happen. How it's going to happen, I don't know, but it has to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, why I said it is a disclaimer is that next year, same time, I'll not probably get the opportunity to give her a gift. So which means, I know the face is a bit, I will have gone for my other father duties. Retiring. Officially, ile a government. The team suggested that with all this backing up of metrology, and the guidance and the leadership she has shown metrology, being 150 years of celebration, lazima tuseme hongera, Madam MD Esther Ngari. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for what you've done for us. Since I don't know whether, because there is not going to be another World Metrology Day where I can shake her hand, and give her her gift. Please, the disclaimer still continues. Let me do this part. Thank you.
I don't know what to say, but thank you so much. Thank you, Team Metrology. Thank you, Nyakiamo, Muhesh, for the kind words. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. We have a long way to go. We will go together and we will conquer together. Thank you so much.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's getting to our hearts now. Now we need to head and eat. I'll invite Rose, Jackie, come. We will pray for us. So let's be upstanding, please, for a word of prayer. Please bless the food that is before us as well. And then we will disperse.
Thank you. Let us pray even as we close. Our God, our Lord, King of glory, you're a precious God. You're a mighty God. Father, we thank you. See how far, Lord, you have brought us. And to this hour, God, we say Ebenezer. We say thank you. Father, I pray for a blessing. Bless us, God. Bless all our guests. Bless all of us. Bless each and every one of us, our families, oh God. I pray for protection even as we leave this place to travel in various places. God, protect us. I cover each and every one of us with the mighty blood of Jesus Christ. Lord of glory, as we dispatch for our meal, I pray for a blessing. I pray that you sanctify the food that we're going to take, that each and every one of us will take it and there'll be no any other issue thereafter. And therefore, King of glory, take the center stage. Let your name be glorified. For this, Father, that you brought us, Father, we say you are a great, mighty God, a powerful God, God of glory and God of honor. Bless Kenya Bureau of Standards and all our stakeholders. We glorify you and we honor you. In Jesus' mighty name we pray and give thanks.
Amen. We have nothing more to add. Happy World Metrology Day, and on behalf of the Kenya Bureau of Standards, karibuni lunch. Welcome for lunch. Asanteni sana.
World Metrology Day today is very special to us.
My name is Calvin Bore.
The Metre Convention and recognition by the UNESCO marked this day to be the special day where we recognize the Metre Convention. It is very important for the world over to help us come with other initiatives, other inventions, and that's what is metrology is all about. Measurements for all time, for all people. Our theme for this year's World Metrology Day. It is also very important for all over the world to note what World Metrology Day is. We celebrate the international standards units, measurement units, the SI units, and we help the industry to make sure that they apply these units all over the country. It is very important that we speak in uniformity. It's very important that we speak in terms of metrological measurements. Thank you, and I welcome you to this 150th World Metrology Day recognition. Asanteni sana.